What's up traders, welcome to Failure to Displace. Let's take a look at today's New York Silver Bullet session and see what opportunities were up for grabs. I was able to grab a live trade for you which I'll show the execution of shortly, but let's first run through the analysis. So we can see, starting left to right, buy side liquidity from previous day's high has been swept and we've closed back in the range at the open of the London session. We have taken the London sell side and begun closing back in the range. However, because yesterday's high was taken, my eyes are actually drawing to a swing low from yesterday's price action, which would be the New York PM session low. So that's really my draw on liquidity. At the moment, this is all inside price action. So because we failed to displace above yesterday's high, I'm expecting a liquidity grab from somewhere within inside yesterday's range. I've highlighted a couple of extra things in today's charts. This is just trying to clarify what I'm looking for. So first of all, I've highlighted the new day opening gap for the regular trading hours. So this is basically working out the close time at 5 PM yesterday afternoon. So that's the New York Stock Exchange close, where price closed at, and then working out the 9:30 open here. So all of this price action in between these 2 points is only available in electronic trading hours, and as far as the New York Stock Exchange is concerned, this doesn't exist. So we can see price gapped down here. So this large gap between these 2 lines is essentially our new day opening gap. So price has pulled down, it's come back and closed in the gap. It's also coming into a 15-minute fair value gap. So this is the other thing that I've decided I'm going to start highlighting now, is these 15-minute fair value gaps and how these hold together, so that when we're on a lower time frame, I can still see the relevance of the 15-minute fair value gaps, specifically the 50% of the fair value gap here. That is what I'm looking at. So going into this session, I did have a bearish bias, again saying we had failed to displace outside of yesterday's high. Therefore, I'm expecting some liquidity to be taken from yesterday's range. My eyes specifically looking at the New York PM session low as a main draw on liquidity. And I'm seeing some resistance here from this fair value gap as we wicked into it. So I am thinking we could potentially come down lower, breaking out of this range. I've marked we're using the Fibonacci, the equilibrium. So funnily enough, the equilibrium of this price range is actually exactly on the top of yesterday's close price, so the top of our gap. So if we are shorting, we want to be looking at a pullback into this and then shorting back down ideally. So let's jump into the 1-minute chart. So we can see price swung, took London's low and is immediately pulled back into the range, and it's currently, prior to the Silver Bullet hour opening up, bouncing off the equilibrium of today's range and the 15-minute fair value gap. So as we're coming into this, I was waiting for some kind of displacement lower to be able to engage in price. So immediately pumped up, we've tapped the 50% of this fair value gap. So I'm still holding for a bearish setup, huge bearish candle here. Haven't taken an entry on this because that is just simply too big. The stop loss would be much too large on this candle. So I didn't take an entry on here. I was looking at this order block here and this potential breaker block. See how price reacts when we get back up to that level if we get a retracement. Price is pumping up. We're coming back into the 15-minute fair value gap. So I'm waiting to see what kind of happens here now, if we're going to run through this or not. Say that fair value gap was just much too large for me to deal with. I ain't going to take an entry on something that big. So we come up, we're into this order block. This order block has held us at the moment, and we've put in a fair value gap here. So this was my signal to go short on this fair value gap. Obviously we had big displacement down, breaking structure, which is a good sign that we're going to have a bearish move on board, but there was no entry there. Your stop loss is going to be in the middle of the range if you were to try and take that. Let's just put that to a... If you were to take that, your stop loss is literally in the middle of nowhere, which is not something that I wanted to deal with. So I was looking more at the breaker block and order block for a potential entry. Price has come up, it's left this fair value gap now, so respecting the 15-minute fair value gap, respecting the order block, respecting the breaker block as well, leaving displacement back down again. So this is where I took my entry. We'll jump now live into the charts actually, and we can show you how this plays out in real time. So we're looking for a short trade here on US 500 if this closes with this fair value gap. The basis for the trade is we've taken 15-minute previous day's high, come down, we have swept the London low, but I'm expecting the PM session low to get taken out. So that is the ultimate target. We are respecting this 15-minute fair value gap. So if this closes as a fair value gap, I will take that short. So that has closed as a fair value gap. So I've entered my trade on MetaTrader. So the short position will be break short position, not the long position. Will be this fair value gap, stop loss 5 handles, so just above the high. And ultimately, I think that the New York session low will get taken out. This gap, so this red line here and this red line, these two red lines here, is the new day opening gap on regular trading hours. So where price opened or closed 5 PM yesterday and opened at 9:30. So we've just filled the gap now into the silver bullet hour, and so we're respecting this 15-minute fair value gap with quite big wicks. So I'm expecting price to pull lower now, ultimately targeting the PM session low from yesterday. This is a breaker structure, we've not taken it yet, it's been tagged into the trade now. 26, so we're going to have a new half-hour candle opening up in a moment. I'm just going 1-to-1 on this one. This also, you'll notice, is a balanced price range. So we do have a bullish fair value gap here followed by a bearish fair value gap. So as we know where these two are overlapping is our balanced price range, which is one of the signatures I like to see in a trade. Created equal lows here, so that's a good sign. Big bullish fair value gap. So hopefully that will get traded through quite quickly, and we'll hopefully have a very fast move down, take some of this liquidity out. And that's hit the 5 on MetaTrader, so we are out, and we are out now on there. So nice winning trade there, beautiful. Came from respecting this 15-minute fair value gap, and we do have a bearish bias. Obviously this big bearish candle was a good indication that we may have some sell side to go anyway, and it just ticked it though. Yep, happy with that. So that was the live execution. I hope you found that useful. The analysis, as you can see, I've gone over it quite a few times in that video of what we were looking for. I've just broken it down again a little bit here. Ultimately, what played the main part was this 15-minute fair value gap being respected with a bearish bias. We did pull down a little bit further after pulling back into the range. However, we never got 2-to-1. So 2-to-1 did not get a hit, at which point I was out of the office anyway, so this is again, I only took it at 1-to-1 today. I'm just literally trying to grab the 5 handles, so I'm not leaving runners or anything, doing the basics at the moment, and just keeping an eye on whether these 2-to-1s play out or not. As you can see, it didn't in that session, so it was a good decision to close out 1-to-1 at the 5 handles. Hope you found that useful. I'm glad I was able to catch that live. Today's been a bit of a mixed up day. We've had no power all day, so I wasn't able to even look at London session, and then the power at home literally switched on at 2 minutes to 10 AM. So I was literally, I had a couple of minutes just to jump on the charts and start planning things out before taking that trade. So it was a bit of a rush, so I'm glad that I was able to catch it for you. So I hope you found some value in that analysis and the live execution that we caught on there. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Leave any questions down below in the comments section, and consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. I'll be back again tomorrow, hopefully, with some more market reviews. Thanks guys, I'll see you soon.